So that is the Volkswagen T-Roc R. Now, there's two questions I'm going to be asking in this video. Number one, is it the Golf R for adults and why? And number two, is it worthy of the R? Because technically the R means racing. Let's find out. This isn't how I run normally, but just for banter, check this out. So if you're watching this video, you probably don't really care about efficiency and comfort. And luckily, VW have put a button on the steering wheel. So press this R button, it goes straight into race. They've got rid of the touchscreen traction control. You just need to press a physical button down here. Left foot on the brake. And launch. Woo-hoo-wee! And that is 60. And I already see 4.47, 0 to 60. And this isn't the Golf R. 4.4 seems plenty fast. So one of the most important things is how a car makes you feel. And the T-Roc R doesn't make me feel like I'm driving, I don't know, the world's fastest supercar. But when doing a school run, you definitely feel like you're the coolest guy in the car park. You arrive in this lovely blue, and then you leave with the Akrapovic exhaust system popping and farting away with every gear change. Obviously when you're leaving the school area, you're not going to be doing 70 or 60, but just listen to this. And the thing is, the DSG farts, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but if you lower it down and rev it up and flip through the gears, it definitely keeps that inner child nice and happy. Now at first glance, you'd look and you'd think lapis blue, VW, Golf R. It's kind of the colour that's associated with the Golf R. However, as much as we want to say this is just a Golf R on stilts, unfortunately we can't. And when I say unfortunately, that's number one, down to the fact that this has 20 horsepower less than the usual Golf R. So already we've lost some power, and having driven the Golf R, the anniversary edition as well, you can notice that 20 horsepower. And now when most people talk about power and somebody were to say 20 horsepower increase, you think, oh, it's not much. But bearing in mind, this is slightly higher, so it's already against aero and anything else that's going to restrict it from going quick, such as weight. I'm not too sure how heavy this is compared to the Golf R, but I can imagine it might be slightly heavier. And then, as mentioned, with the aero, all of that horsepower, that 20 horsepower, is probably needed just to balance things out. Now when we press this R button, we go through a few drive modes. We've got Eco, Comfort, Normal, Race and Individual. Now something to note is comfort, but Eco isn't as comfortable as Comfort. When I put it in Eco and I drove that day to day, I thought that the DCC, the dynamic chassis control, was slightly too hard. I thought the dampers were a bit too hard, but then I realized that in Eco, it in fact uses normal damping mode, so it's slightly harsher than Comfort. So I set up my Individual, and that's what I like to run it in day to day, unless I'm on the motorway, because when you put it in Eco, it kind of lets the engine coast when you're just cruising along and foot's off the accelerator, so MPG goes up. And talking of MPG, before we forget, not that this is an MPG video, I saw around 38 when cruising at 65 miles an hour on the motorway, because I think that's the sweet spot. It keeps it below 2,000 RPM, and then you can save all the beans for race mode, kicking down, and absolutely sending it. Now, who is this car for? As mentioned, it is probably for somebody, in my opinion, that wants a Golf R but doesn't want the attention, doesn't want all of the hoo-ha, look at me, and somebody that just wants to slip under the radar. Obviously, you've got the quad exhaust tips at the back, but that aside, it does go under the radar. And to be honest, most people don't really know about this car. Everyone just knows the Golf and the Tiguan, and that's kind of it. It just sits right in the middle, and I think it definitely has a market. Now, in terms of space, sitting in the front in this position is fine. Had the wife in the back, she said it's fine, there's loads of space, so I always get feedback from her. Obviously, she runs the show. Baby seats in the rear there, and with the passenger seat where it is now, there is still enough space for the little one to move her legs around and not get cramped. So Princess is happy, wife is happy, son is happy. In terms of space, tick tick. Now, where the space does remove one of those ticks and why it doesn't get 3 ticks is the boot. So the boot is rather small and doesn't really make sense to me, bearing in mind that this is a small SUV, so they would kind of expect people to use it for school runs or football clubs and stuff like that. So the boot is kind of something that should never really be skimped on, and the Golf is always known, or has been known, to have quite a big boot. So why they've squished this down slightly, I'm not too sure. Again, it is workable. It is workable. You can remove the parcel shelf and you can kind of load it up that way, but yeah, pram in the back, and that's kind of your lot. You're gonna have to just maneuver things or pack more carefully. So VW in the past was known to have quite a bad infotainment system. Me personally, I didn't have any issues with it, bearing in mind I'm an iPhone user, Apple CarPlay, I'm at the races, I've got everything I need. But previously it was kind of just a miniature tablet. You had all of this touch, and you still do. However, you've actually got physical buttons that are touch, if that makes sense, to allow you to go from your radio to your phone to your navigation, and then you have the actual screen itself. And then down here you have your drive mode buttons, and the most important things, do what you got to do, I can't even hear you, can't even hear, so I didn't know you were there. It's Polestar. So as I was saying, you still have a few more physical buttons, and for me it's great to have that balance. The nice touch stuff is all great, it does make the car feel modern, but at the same time you still want physical buttons just to allow ease of use. And not everybody that jumps in these cars is clued up with the latest gizmos, so it's a must. The climate control system's gone back to a normal red, blue to adjust. You've got the screen down here. It's much better than what they had up here before, in my opinion, so thumbs up for getting it right. So the main question that we really want to know about is, again, why this over a Golf R? Now, in terms of suspension, as you can see, it is quite firm in this mode, but again, with the individual mode that we can set up now, the dampers get a lot softer, everything stops rattling around, and the car just becomes much easier to drive. Now, something to note is that when you do tip this car into a corner, it will turn, it will corner. However, it isn't a Golf R, so at certain times, depending on how stupid you're driving, it can get a bit wallowy, a bit sketchy. But again, you have to be doing something stupid, and if you're doing something stupid in this and you make a mistake, you shouldn't be driving this car or a car in general, because again, this is 4Motion, so it's got the 4-wheel drive, so it won't really overtake. You can't really overtake yourself in this car. It's kind of impossible, but I'm sure it has been done. But again, with the roads that we have, the individual mode is a game changer. Put the chassis in normal, leave the steering, in my opinion, in normal. Gives you a nice feeling to drive. If you were to track this car, which I don't think you'd be doing, I'm sure you'd stiffen things up. The driving race, so you get all of that nice throttle response, and then when you are overtaking the cyclist gently, and then you do get past them, then you can absolutely send it. And it just wants to go. So suspension wise, it isn't gonna be on rails like a Golf R, but if driven correctly with your brain, there's no reason why you still can't have fun. So most cars normally have the sport mode, the normal mode and the eco mode, but with this having the R button, that I was quite impressed with. The question I'm really asking is it wasted? Do you actually need an R version of the T-Roc? And I would say yes, because again, the Golf is great, but you can't beat a nice high seating position when it comes to day-to-day driving. Loads of clearance, you can see further ahead, you can see through the traffic most times as well. So wow, you are taking up the entire road, uncle. Eesh. Oh, okay, fair enough, you got horses in there. That's fine, boss. That's good, man. That's good. I don't know what you've got in there. You got horses in there as well? Oh, everyone's got horses. Meanwhile, I've only got 300. Dad joke. Yeah. And this dad is a very cool dad. Let me get my sunglasses. I don't know where they are. I think I'll put them in the back so they don't rattle during the video. 300 horses in a small SUV. Definitely feels worthy. Well done, Volkswagen. Well done. Something I failed to mention as well is the interior really does do it for me. Like I said, this car is all about the comfort, and luckily we've got quite supportive seats, as you can see, loads of bolstering over here. And again, it isn't a real bucket seat, so getting in and out isn't a problem, and it does the comfort really, really well, as well as being heated and as well as having a heated steering wheel. Yeah, this definitely has a place. I didn't close the door properly. Lovely. So yes guys, that has been the video on the T-Roc R. If you have enjoyed the video, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see all of your beautiful faces in the next one. Take care and God bless.